Hi, welcome back to my channel today. We are diving deep into the top 25 most valuable Australian coins. Number 1. The legendary 1930 penny. Our journey begins with the undisputed king of Australian copper coins, the 1930 penny. It's the coin that every Aussie kid growing up in the 20th century dreamed of finding in their pocket. But how did it become so valuable? In 1930, Australia was in the grip of the Great Depression. The economy was struggling, and coin production had slowed dramatically. The Royal Mint in Melbourne didn't even officially plan to mint any pennies that year. But due to a clerical oversight or a quiet test production, somewhere around 1,500 of them were accidentally struck and slipped into circulation. It wasn't until years later that coin collectors realized the 1930 penny existed, and the frenzy began. Today, this humble copper coin is considered the holy grail of Australian prodecimal coins. Prices vary depending on condition, but a well-preserved example can bring in over $150,000 at auction. The record once sold for $1.15 million in a private sale, though that specimen was nearly uncirculated. If you ever find a 1930 penny in a drawer, congratulations, you just hit the jackpot. Number 2. The 1813 Holy Dollar. Next up is a coin that looks like no other, the 1813 Holy Dollar. It's odd, it's old, and it's absolutely priceless. Back in the early 1800s, Australia had a serious coin shortage. So Governor Lachlan Macquarie came up with an ingenious solution. He took imported Spanish silver dollars, also known as pieces of 8, and punched a hole right through the center. The outer ring became the Holy Dollar, while the inner disc became the dump, which we'll talk about next. Each Holy Dollar was stamped with the words New South Wales 1813, marking the first official currency issued in Australia. Only about 300 Holy Dollars are known to survive today. Prices depend heavily on the condition and origin of the host coin. Some have fetched more than $500,000 at auction, especially when accompanied by the matching dump. If you're lucky enough to own one of these colonial masterpieces, you hold a symbol of Australia's early financial independence. Number 3. The 1813 dump. And now let's look at the Holy Dollar's little cousin, the 1813 dump. After cutting out the center of the Spanish dollar, the mint didn't waste that inner piece. It was stamped and turned into the dump, a squat little silver coin marked 15 pence and 1813. Despite its small size, the dump is incredibly important in Australian history. It's the first coin ever struck in Australia, produced right in Sydney using hand-operated presses. Finding one in good condition is nearly impossible. These coins were rough, crude, and used daily by early settlers. Today, collectors pay $50,000 to over $250,000 for a quality specimen. Together, the Holy Dollar and dump represent Australia's first homegrown currency system, and they're both highly prized in the numismatic world. Number 4. The rare 1920 Sydney sovereign. Number 4 is a golden marvel with a mysterious past, the 1920 Sydney sovereign. Gold sovereigns were minted in Australia from the 1850s to the 1930s. But the 1920 sovereign struck at the Sydney Mint is in a class of its own. Why? Because it's one of the rarest sovereigns ever made. Most coins from that era were struck at the Melbourne or Perth mints, but the Sydney Mint's 1920 run was extremely limited. Possibly just a handful made it out. For years, collectors debated whether the coin even existed. Only a few verified examples are known, and they're considered the pinnacle of Australian sovereign collecting. At auction, this coin has sold for as much as $600,000, depending on its condition and provenance. If you ever see one, look for the tiny smint mark, because that little letter could mean big money. Number 5. The 1852 Adelaide pound. We head to South Australia in 1852, where the gold rush was in full swing. Enter the Adelaide pound, Australia's first gold coin. Gold had just been discovered in New South Wales and Victoria, and miners were flocking to the fields. But there was a problem. How do you pay for things when all you have is raw gold dust? To solve this, a makeshift mint was set up in Adelaide to convert gold into coinage. And the result was the Type I Adelaide pound. These coins were struck without royal authority, which technically made them illegal, but they were so useful that the colonial government let it slide for a while. The Type I coin is especially rare because of its flawed design. Many cracked during minting, and only a small number survive in high-grade condition. Today, a top-quality Adelaide pound can bring in $100,000 to $400,000 at auction. making it one of Australia's most historic and valuable gold coins. Number 6. 1855 Sydney Mint. Sovereign kicking off with a piece of pure gold history. The 1855 Sydney Mint Sovereign. This isn't just another gold coin. It's the very first official sovereign struck in Australia, just 4 years after gold was discovered. Before 1855, Australians had to rely on imported British coins. But with the gold rush booming, the Sydney Mint was established to turn that newfound wealth into local currency. The design is unique. The obverse shows Queen Victoria's portrait, but it's surrounded by the words Victoria DG Brit. Reg, abbreviated and distinct from British sovereigns. The reverse proudly reads, Sydney Mint Australia, the only sovereigns ever to bear those words. Because of its historic importance, collectors absolutely treasure this coin. In circulated condition, it can fetch $25,000. But high-grade examples, especially with sharp detail and minimal wear, have sold for over $100,000. If you ever find an 1855 sovereign with strong details and no major damage, you're holding a real gem of Australian numismatics. Number 7. 1922 21st overdate. Threepence. Next, we have a tiny coin with a huge mistake. The 1922 21st overdate threepence. At first glance, it looks like any ordinary silver threepence, but look closer. You'll see something fascinating. Part of a 1 hiding underneath the 2 in the date. This happened when the mint reused a 1921 die and simply punched a 2 over the old 1. A cost-saving move that accidentally created a numismatic legend. The 1922 21st overdate is rare, highly sought after, and can command prices between $15,000 and $50,000, depending on condition. Collectors love these errors because they tell a story about minting practices of the past, when saving time and money sometimes led to unintentional treasures. Number 8. 1937 Pattern Crown. Coming in at number 8 is the majestic but mysterious 1937 Pattern Crown. In 1937, Australia was preparing to celebrate the coronation of King George VI. The idea was to issue a large, impressive silver crown coin, twice the size of a florin. The pattern coins were beautifully designed, showing St. George slaying the dragon on one side and King George VI on the other. But here's the twist. The public didn't love them. Crown-sized coins were seen as too bulky and impractical. Plans for mass production were scrapped, and only a limited number of pattern coins ever left the mint. Today, a genuine 1937 pattern crown is a rare and valuable find, often selling for $50,000 or more depending on its condition. It's a piece off what could have been in Australian numismatic history, a glimpse into a design that almost entered circulation but didn't. Number 9. 1916 Mule Halfpenny. Now we move to one of the coolest minting eras in Australian history, the 1916 Mule Halfpenny. In 1916, Australia outsourced coin production to Calcutta, India. Somewhere along the production line, an Indian 1/4 Anna obverse die, showing King George V with different legends, was accidentally paired with the Australian halfpenny reverse. The result, a mule, a coin born from 2 mismatched dies. These are incredibly rare. Only a few examples are known to exist. And when one comes to auction, collectors go wild. Depending on condition, a 1916 mule halfpenny can sell for $10,000 to over $30,000, sometimes even more if it's in sharp condition. Mule coins like this are favorites among advanced collectors because they show how easily human error can create priceless rarities. Number 10. 1923 halfpenny. Today, we feature a humble copper coin with a mighty reputation, the 1923 halfpenny. At first glance, it looks just like any other early halfpenny. But here's the secret. Only around 15,000 were produced, an astonishingly low mintage for the time. Why so few? It's believed that production problems and a shortage of dies in 1923 caused the mint to produce only a tiny number before switching focus to other coins. Because it entered regular circulation, many surviving examples are heavily worn. High-grade specimens, those with strong detail and limited wear, are incredibly valuable. A circulated example might fetch $5,000 to $10,000. But if you have a well-preserved 1923 halfpenny, you're looking at $50,000 plus. It's proof that even the most unassuming coins can hide extraordinary value if you know what to look for. Number 11. 1966 Wavy Baseline 20 cent. When Australia switched to decimal currency in 1966, millions of 20-cent pieces flooded into circulation. But not all of them were identical. Some 20-cent coins minted at the Sydney Mint had a subtle, but crucial difference. The baseline under the 2 in 20 is wavy, not straight. It's easy to miss unless you know exactly what to look for. That tiny wave wasn't intentional. It resulted from a die fault during production, because only a small number were struck before the error was corrected. The wavy baseline 20 cent is rare and in hot demand. Depending on condition, you're looking at $2,000 to $5,000 plus, with top-grade examples commanding even higher premiums. Collectors are constantly checking their loose change, because you never know when a small wave could make a huge difference. Number 12, $2,000 1/10C mule coin. Coming in at number 12 is one of the most famous Australian mint errors ever, the $2,000 1/10C mule coin. In the year 2000, as new $1 coins were being struck, someone at the mint accidentally paired the $1 reverse die with the wrong obverse die, a 10-cent die. The result, a $1 coin with a smaller, thicker double rim, a coin that feels slightly different in hand. And because this happened during a standard production run, hundreds slipped into circulation before the mistake was caught. Today, finding one is like finding buried treasure. Even circulated examples can fetch $3,000 to $5,000 plus, and pristine uncirculated ones can soar even higher. So next time you get change at the shops, check those $1 coins carefully. You might just be holding a multi-thousand-dollar error. Number 13, 1921 square penny. Now for something truly unique, the experimental 1921 square penny. In the early 1920s, Australia explored the idea of introducing square coins instead of the traditional round shape. Several trial pieces were struck in 1921, featuring a kangaroo on one side and King George V on the other. But why square? The idea was to help distinguish Australian coins from British ones, making life easier for everyday Aussies. However, the square design was ultimately abandoned. It was too impractical for automated machinery like vending machines and counting devices. Because these coins were only test pieces and never circulated, only a tiny handful survive today. A genuine 1921 square penny can sell for $100,000 or more, making it one of the most sought-after trial coins in Australian history. Owning one of these is like holding a piece off what could have been. A fascinating chapter in numismatic experimentation. Number 14, 1921 halfpenny. At number 14, we have the humble but elusive 1921 halfpenny. In a year when millions of coins were struck for other denominations, the 1921 halfpenny had a relatively low mintage, making it very tough to find, especially in high grades. The surviving examples are often heavily worn from circulation, meaning that sharp, detailed coins are extremely valuable. In circulated condition, prices range from $2,000 to $5,000, but high-grade examples, those with full detail and original mint luster, can reach $15,000 or more at auction. If you have an old halfpenny collection tucked away, it's worth checking carefully. That worn brown coin might just be worth a small fortune. Number 15, 1946 penny. At first glance, it looks just like any other George VI era penny. But 1946 was a special year. Post-war production meant limited resources, fewer coins were struck, and many were heavily circulated. Because of its scarcity, particularly in mint-state condition, the 1946 penny is highly collectible today. A circulated example might sell for around $1,000. But if you happen to find one in pristine, uncirculated condition, it could be worth up to $5,000 or more. Look for sharp details on King George's hair and clear kangaroo lines on the reverse. These are signs that your coin might be a premium example. Number 16, 1945 silver florin. Kicking things off at number 16 is a silver beauty, the 1945 silver florin. The florin was Australia's 2-shilling coin, and in 1945, it marked the final year of full silver composition before changes to the alloy occurred. Struck in 92.5% sterling silver, this coin not only holds historical value, but also intrinsic precious metal worth. But it's not just about the silver. What makes the 1945 florin collectible is its place at the end of an era. Collectors see it as the last true silver florin, which gives it both emotional and monetary value. Prices start around $500 for circulated examples, But if you've got one in near mint or uncirculated condition, it could fetch up to $2,000 or more. It's a simple coin, yet a powerful chapter in Australia's coinage story. Number 17. 1955 Perth Mint. Sovereign coming in at number 17 is the 1955 Perth Mint Sovereign, a coin of gold, tradition, and scarcity. By the mid-1950s, the days of circulating gold coins were nearly over. But in 1955, a small batch of sovereigns was struck at the historic Perth Mint, and today they're highly sought after. The mintage was low. Most were exported or melted down, leaving very few survivors. Featuring a young Queen Elizabeth II and the classic St. George slaying the dragon reverse. This sovereign is one of the final chapters in Australia's sovereign legacy. Before decimalization took over in the 1960s, collectors pay anywhere from $5,000 to over $20,000, especially for uncirculated or proof-like examples. It's a piece of both royal and numismatic history, and an absolute treasure for gold coin collectors. Number 18. 1980 $200 gold koala. We jump into the world of modern proof gold coins with the 1980 $200 gold koala. Issued by the Royal Australian Mint, this $200 coin was made from solid gold, weighing just over 10 grams and containing 0.917 fine gold. What makes this coin especially valuable is its limited mintage and the stunning proof finish, a mirror-like surface that collectors crave. Although later gold koalas were minted in larger numbers, the 1980 version was among the earliest and rarest, setting the stage for a whole new generation of modern collectors. Today, a proof version in top condition can fetch over $3,000, and values keep rising as gold prices climb and demand increases. So if you've inherited a gold coin collection, look closely, you might be holding a hidden gem. Number 19. 1925 penny. Number 19 is one of Australia's classic key date pennies, the 1925 penny. During the 1920s, the Australian government reduced penny production, and in 1925, the mintage was especially low. That scarcity has made this coin one of the big three key dates for penny collectors, along with the 1930 and 1946. In lower grades, you might see it listed for $500 to $1,000, but high-grade examples, those with rich chocolate tones and clear lettering, can fetch $5,000 or more. The 1925 penny is a must-have if you're building a full penny set, and because it was heavily circulated, mint state examples are incredibly rare. Number 20. 1967 goose dollar. And now, one of the most legendary and mysterious coins in Australian numismatics, the 1967 goose dollar. You heard that right. In the lead-up to decimalization, the Royal Australian Mint explored several design ideas for a new dollar coin. One proposed design featured a graceful goose in flight. A bold departure from the kangaroo or coat of arms designs were used too. Although the goose dollar was never released, a few trial coins were minted. Only a handful are known to exist, and they're fiercely protected by elite collectors. When one hits the market, which is extremely rare, prices range from $50,000 to $150, 000 plus. Depending on condition and provenance, it's more than a coin. It's a story off what might have been in Australian currency. And for collectors, owning a goose dollar is like holding a piece of alternate history. Number 21. 1914 H halfpenny. Starting off at number 21 is the scarce and often overlooked 1914 H halfpenny. What makes this coin special? The tiny letter H below the date. That's the mint mark for the Heaton Mint in Birmingham, England. During World War I, Australia faced disruptions in local minting, and the Heaton Mint stepped in to help. But here's the thing. While many 1914 halfpennies were produced, only a fraction carry the H mint mark. Combined with a low survival rate, especially in high grades, this has pushed the value into the thousands. Expect to pay $1,000 for a circulated example, but pristine specimens can soar to over $10,000 at auction. Number 22. 1938 crown. At number 22, we have a coin that's big, bold, and built like a tank, the 1938 crown, intended to commemorate the coronation of King George VI. This crown is a real heavyweight, both in size and history, but it faced a problem: lack of demand. Australians weren't used to such large coins in everyday use, and many crowns sat unsold, melted down, or lost to time. Today, surviving examples can fetch $200 for a worn piece, but collectors will pay up to $3,000 or more for coins in uncirculated condition with brilliant luster. With its intricate royal crown design, the 1938 crown is not just a coin, it's a true display piece. Number 23, 1951 Federation. Florin, coming in at number 23, is a beautiful commemorative coin. The 1951 Federation Florin Proof. This coin marks the 50th anniversary of Australia's Federation, when the 6 separate colonies united into a commonwealth. The Royal Mint produced special proof versions in extremely limited numbers, meant mainly for dignitaries, officials, and serious collectors. A standard 1951 Federation Florin is collectible, but the proof version is in a league of its own. With its mirrored surfaces and razor-sharp details, it's an absolute showstopper. Today, proof examples can sell for $3,000 to $10,000 or more, depending on the quality and originality of the surfaces. If you find one of these tucked away in a collection, you found a true Federation-era treasure. Number 24, 1856 Sydney Mint Sovereign. Number 24 takes us back to the height of the Australian gold rush, the 1856 Sydney Mint Sovereign. This was one of the very first gold coins officially struck in Australia. Minted just a few years after the Sydney Mint opened its doors in 1855. Early Sydney sovereigns are distinct. Instead of the traditional St. George design, they proudly feature a Sydney Mint on the reverse, making them truly stand apart from British sovereigns. Surviving 1856 examples, especially in high grade, are incredibly scarce. Collectors are willing to pay $10,000 to $50, 000 plus, depending on the coin's condition and strike quality. An 1856 sovereign isn't just gold, it's history in your hands. Number 25, 2001 Centenary of Federation-era coins. And finally, rounding out our list at number 25 is something for the era hunters. The 2001 Centenary of Federation-era coins, issued to celebrate 100 years of Federation. This series included all kinds of commemorative designs across different states and territories. But among these coins, something unexpected slipped through. Coins struck with the wrong die, double strikes, misaligned images, and even coins with clashing errors between different denominations. Era coins are a specialized but booming field of collecting, and some of these 2001 mistakes have sold for $500 to $2,000 or more, depending on the rarity and type of error. They're a reminder that even in the 21st century, the mint can still surprise us, and that valuable treasures can still appear in your change. There you have it, 25 of the most valuable Australian coins ever made. Whether it's gold sovereigns, decimal misprints, or copper classics, these coins prove that history can be hiding in your pocket. So check your change, search your old drawers, and don't forget to subscribe for more coin collecting tips, stories, and rare finds from around the world. Thanks for watching.